SpaceX was born in California. For more than 2 decades, its headquarters in Hawthorne served as the center of one of the most revolutionary companies in aerospace history. But now, that era is over. In 2025, Musk officially announced that SpaceX is moving its corporate headquarters from California to Texas. This decision wasn't sudden or without warning. It was the result of years of growing tension between Musk and the state of California, and recent legislative moves finally pushed the company out. At the heart of this dramatic shift is California Senate Bill 1250. Passed in early 2025, the bill redefined how corporations must operate in the state, particularly targeting executive compensation, shareholder power, and board governance. It was designed to increase accountability, but critics like Musk saw it as a direct assault on innovation and risk-taking. In a public statement, Musk said California was no longer interested in supporting high-growth companies, calling the new law a hostile act against free enterprise. SpaceX, which has always maintained a complex relationship with regulatory bodies, found itself increasingly constrained. Senate Bill 1250 gave shareholders more power to influence leadership decisions, even allowing the state to block executive compensation packages deemed excessive. These changes were aimed at curbing corporate excess, but for companies like SpaceX, which rely on bold leadership and long-term bets, it introduced a level of oversight Musk found unacceptable. Musk has long resisted traditional corporate structures. SpaceX, like Tesla, has operated under his vision with relatively centralized decision-making and unorthodox management. California's push to tighten corporate governance clashed directly with this model. The moment Senate Bill 1250 was signed into law, Musk called it the final straw. Within weeks, he filed paperwork to move the company's legal and executive headquarters to Starbase, the company's rapidly growing facility in Boca Chica, Texas. Starbase was already an operational core for SpaceX. It's where the Starship program is being developed and tested. By making it the new headquarters, Musk is doing more than moving a mailing address. He's shifting the company's strategic and cultural center. Starbase will now serve as the administrative and engineering heart of SpaceX, consolidating leadership, operations, and decision-making in one location. This move comes with real financial consequences for California. SpaceX employed thousands in Hawthorne. Its presence generated millions in tax revenue, local investments, and partnerships with nearby universities and suppliers. Now, much of that is heading to Texas. Economists estimate the move could cost California billions in the long term, especially as related businesses follow SpaceX's lead and consider relocating to more business-friendly states. And Texas, on the other hand, stands to gain tremendously. In addition to Starbase, SpaceX already has a rocket testing facility in McGregor and has been steadily expanding its footprint in the state. With the headquarters move, Texas becomes the undisputed center of America's commercial space industry. Officials in the state have welcomed the decision, offering tax incentives, regulatory flexibility, and public praise for Musk's vision. This isn't the first time Musk has clashed with California. In 2020, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, he fought against Alameda County health officials over restrictions that shut down Tesla's Fremont factory. He threatened to move Tesla's headquarters to Texas, and eventually did. In many ways, SpaceX's move is the continuation of a pattern. Musk is positioning his companies in states where he believes innovation won't be stifled by what he sees as excessive regulation. Despite the move, SpaceX isn't completely abandoning California. The Hawthorne factory will continue to operate, at least in the short term. It remains a major hub for Falcon 9 production, Dragon capsule assembly, and key engineering teams. But the center of gravity is shifting. Over time, more departments will likely relocate to Texas. New hiring will favor Starbase, not Hawthorne. And leadership decisions will no longer be made from within California. The departure of SpaceX raises broader questions about California's future as a tech and innovation hub. For decades, the state led the nation in attracting startups and building the backbone of Silicon Valley. But high costs of living, strict environmental laws, and now increasingly assertive corporate governance policies are beginning to push some of that talent away. When one of the most prominent tech founders in history moves not just one but multiple companies out of the state, it sends a strong signal. Supporters of California's reforms argue that they are necessary to rein in corporate abuse and ensure ethical leadership. They point out that unchecked executive power can lead to exploitation, poor labor conditions, and environmental neglect. But critics argue that the state is going too far, creating an unfriendly environment for companies that thrive on risk and rapid iteration. Musk's choice to move SpaceX to Texas is as much symbolic as it is practical. Texas offers wide-open land, lenient regulations, and government leaders who openly support private spaceflight. It's a place where SpaceX can test rockets, build massive infrastructure, and grow without fighting a state government every step of the way. The decision also aligns SpaceX more closely with the operational needs of the Starship program, which is expected to dominate the company's future business. It's also worth noting that SpaceX is not just any company. It's the leading commercial space firm in the world. Its contracts with NASA, the Department of Defense, and private customers put it at the center of America's space ambitions. Having its headquarters in Texas gives it closer ties to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, strengthens political relationships in the region, and allows it to operate from a more stable regulatory base. The long-term consequences of this move are still unfolding. California loses more than a high-profile company. It loses influence in the next generation of space exploration. Texas, meanwhile, gains the prestige and economic momentum that comes with being the home base of one of the most ambitious aerospace projects in history. And SpaceX positions itself to operate with greater freedom and fewer political constraints as it pursues interplanetary flight. In the end, this move wasn't just about taxes or politics, it was about control. Musk wants to run his companies without interference. He wants to build rockets, launch missions, and chase Mars without having to negotiate every step with state bureaucrats. For him, Texas represents that freedom. And for SpaceX, it marks a new chapter, one that could shape the future of spaceflight for decades to come. While SpaceX continues to dominate headlines with their Starship program and a packed launch schedule, other American space companies are seriously struggling lately. Let's take Boeing, for example. Their long-delayed Starliner spacecraft has been nothing short of a disaster. After years of delays, safety concerns, and billions in spending, they finally managed to launch astronauts to the International Space Station in 2024. But instead of proving itself, the mission turned into an embarrassment. The spacecraft suffered multiple technical problems, including helium leaks and thruster malfunctions, and the astronauts were left stranded in orbit far longer than expected. In the end, Boeing had to bring the spacecraft back empty, while SpaceX once again stepped in to safely return the astronauts. It was a huge hit to Boeing's credibility and raised serious questions about how they're still part of NASA's human spaceflight program. And it's not just Boeing. Blue Origin isn't doing much better. Jeff Bezos' company has now been around for over 20 years, and yet they haven't completed a single meaningful orbital mission. While they've been talking about sending humans to the moon and building space stations, in reality, they're mostly known for sending celebrities on 11-minute suborbital flights and then calling them astronauts. That move has triggered a lot of backlash, with critics saying it's disrespectful to real astronauts who train for years and spend months in space. Blue Origin seems more focused on PR and branding than actually building something that pushes the industry forward. After 2 decades, that's hard to defend. But while these U.S. companies are fumbling, a Chinese private space company is quietly making real progress. On May 17, 2025, China's Landspace successfully launched its improved methane-powered Zhuke rocket from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. The mission deployed 6 satellites into orbit and marked the 5th launch in the Zhuke series. What's interesting here is that Landspace is not a government agency. It's a private company, founded in 2015, and they're already doing things that even some U.S. companies haven't achieved. Landspace was the first company in the world to successfully launch a methane liquid oxygen rocket into orbit, way back in July 2023. That was a huge deal. Methane-fueled rockets are cleaner, safer, and better suited for reusability. It's the same type of fuel SpaceX uses for Starship, but Landspace beat everyone to the first successful flight. The rocket launch this time carried 1 radar satellite, 2 multispectral satellites, and 3 research payloads, mostly built by SpaceX, a Chinese satellite firm. These satellites will be used for environmental monitoring, mineral detection, and infrastructure analysis. It's clear that China is expanding its commercial space capabilities fast. If companies like Landspace continue to deliver while others stall, the balance of power in space exploration might shift faster than anyone expected. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay updated on what's really happening in the space industry.